Holmes was born. Then he got fat, bald, and tired. What's up, Holmes?
Let's introduce the business. Anyway, hi everyone. It's Jonathan Holmes here, back again with Gordon Midwood, creator of Derrick. Hi, you made Derrick the Deathfin and Lilt line. We were talking about it, then the stream went down, then went up, and now we're just talking about Tim Curry. But the show's going to be good now, I promise. Starting with this, we talked about Lilt line, which is a game that had dubstep and abstract graphics, two things that are big now. Dubstep, everyone likes that music, and abstract graphics, people are really taking to that with games like Super Hexagon by Terry Cavanaugh. But you were ahead of your time with that game, at least I feel. I feel like if that game came out again today, it could have been huge.
No. No.
What? You really think so? When you made Lilt line, did you think, well, this isn't going to be huge? It's going to do okay.
It's I think my populist organs are out of touch with everyone else. When I'm making things, I always think this is amazing, and I really like it, and I think everyone's going to think this is amazing. Wait till everyone sees it, and then some people do like your good stuff. Some people with taste and they love it, but I'm not very good at gauging what the general populace like or what lots of people like. I know what I like, and I try and make games that I like, and I think Lilt Line and Derrick are two of those games. So
sure, absolutely.
That's all I can do, really, isn't it?
But do you make an effort into kind of gauging what people are hungry for and think, oh, well, no. So you start with the idea of making a game that comes to your head and a concept, and you want to have fun with it and make it so you can enjoy it, and hopefully other people will.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I do. That's why I'm so fabulously rich today. But I figured, I worked for other people for long periods of time, and I wanted to do something, for myself, for other people, obviously, but principally I wanted to make things that I want to make. So as soon as you start thinking, what's popular in the market, what segment is good, then maybe it's a first-person zombie physics puzzler. As soon as you start down that path, to me, that's not what I want to make anymore. I want to make cool things that I think would be cool.
Right. Because if you were, what are you really adding to the world when you're just another guy trying to figure out what people want and then making stuff for?
What am I really adding to the world?
What would you? Well, if you were making a new zombie-based physics puzzler, what would you really be doing for the world that it's not?
Oh,
already...
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
you're being
there's
nice
already people.
To me.
Oh, yes, I was being nice to you. There's already people that have those bases covered. Gonna try to please the lowest common denominator. That base is already. You don't need to cover that base. Are you familiar with baseball?
I am familiar vaguely with rounders, as we call it in the UK. Yeah.
Rounders.
Yeah.
That sounds much nicer. Baseball,
it's like baseball, but for girls. It's called rounders.
It's for girls?
Yeah.
You have girls baseball?
Yeah.
That could solve my whole problem with baseball.
Really?
I don't want to stare at those guys at all. And that's all you do. Just stare at them. Can you send me a link to some rounders?
This is the thing. It's normally like schoolgirls. So.
Score girls?
Schoolgirls.
Oh.
Girls who are at school.
Oh, I see.
And now you look kind of creepy now, having said all that. I'm sure we can edit it into something even more sinister.
I'm sure people will help me with that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So you don't think even today that Lilt line, given how popular dubstep has become, and for people who haven't played it, Lilt line is a game where you control a line with very intuitive, simple controls, just twisting controls on your phone or on the Wii remote. And you move the line up and down to avoid hitting walls, and you hit the button when the line passes through a space on time in order to match the music. So that's the rhythm aspect to it, and it's also a bit of an obstacle course. So I guess you could say it's in the same genre as Bit Trip Runner, except more toned down and streamlined, with a full with more levels and more songs. There's I can't remember, 12?
12, songs? Yeah, I think 12, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Really fun game, really nice art direction. And when I played it, I thought, well, there's no big mascot character that's going to sell this, so it's going to have trouble resonating with people who are just looking at a screenshot and hearing about it. But when people actually play it, they get right into it. And games like that are doing well now, like Super Hexagon. Keep coming back to that, but that's one of the many games that didn't need a mascot, and it did really well. So you don't think Lilt Line, if it came out today, that could potentially do better? Like maybe a sequel to Lilt Line could do better?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Potentially, maybe, yeah. I mean, it did well for me. It didn't make lots of money, but it got me the recognition, got me nominated for an IGF award, which got me funding for Derrick the Deathfin. So for me personally, it did well. It didn't do well financially, but you know, in every other aspect, I'm really proud of it. So if I released it today, maybe. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know why Super Hexagon is popular and Lilt Line isn't. I don't think it's with certain things, people get into it and a kind of hype train starts to roll. And I love Super Hexagon. It's a great little game.
Sure.
But I don't know. I can't answer the question, really.
Yeah.
If I could.
Well, you did. You answered it very well.
Did I? Yeah.
And it is an impossible question. I will answer it for you. I think Lilt Line would do great, and I want you to make a sequel. Or you can let me make it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do have something in the works, like a music game. Not that I don't want to let you make it or anything. You can have a go, yeah?
I can have a go?
Maybe.
I can type a little.
Yeah,
And I've got a Commodore 64. I can learn the code.
Okay, cool. I mean, if you can type words, I mean, that's halfway there, really, isn't it? If you send me a few words in an email, and then I'll just have a look, and then we can work on it together.
That would be wonderful. I've got a whole boss planned out. I've got because I like Lilt Line a lot. I've played it. So as a fan, I can speak to some fun ideas. But you might be planning a new rhythm game, you're saying?
Yeah, I've got a prototype of a music game that you could consider to be a spiritual successor to Lilt Line. So it's along the same kind of music abstract lines. Like, how can you say it? I can't say it. Synesthesia. See, I can't say it.
Synesthesia. That's a cool.
You know what I'm son of Asia. You know what I'm saying? Synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Don't you know what that means?
No.
No? It's you do know what it means, don't you?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, it's like when senses cross over. So when you like playing Lilt Line and you visualize the track, that's like a synesthetic, I can't say it again, experience. Or if you smell something and see colors, that's synesthesia. So what I was trying to do with Lilt Line and maybe with the next one is that you feel like you're, flying through the music, or you're visualizing the music as you play.
You just changed the way I'm going to write reviews about music games forever. Because that's what I try to describe. Every time I play a good rhythm game, it's usually because the game looks the way it sounds, the way it feels.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can combine those three senses together,
exactly.
And you don't really know where one starts and the other begins. That's what I love, and that's called synesthesia?
Yes, I believe so. Something like that. I can't spell it. Don't ask me to spell it. But Rez is the classic example. There are many, many other examples. But yeah, I think really good music games, rhythm games, try and do that, try and visualize the music, and you can play through it, don't they? A lot of games are more, like Guitar Hero, more less abstract, more physical. But to me, the more physical you get in your representation of the music, the more drawn away from the actual feel of the music you get, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. Guitar Hero, as much as I loved it initially just because it felt new, it was just sheet music, the game. And if I wanted sheet music, the game, I would just buy sheet music and play it. So that's why I think that kind of burnt out. Whereas there's huge level of potential for the rhythm genre to be tapped, and I'm hoping that people such as yourself tap into it. Do you think you would use dubstep again for the soundtrack for whatever new rhythm game you might be making?
It might be more of a generative thing, so you play through your music kind of thing. I said it might be.
Okay. So it would be, you could choose your music and then it would...
like a cheap audio surf rip-off kind of thing.
Well, that sounds like it's going to be successful.
Yeah, I think so, doesn't it? I've done my market research. Lilt Line didn't do well. Audio Surf did. Why don't you just rip that off a little bit? So that's what
why didn't it's not too late for Lilt Line to do well either.
I mean, it could come to platforms and stuff. You never know. I'd love to do a Lilt Line too, but we'll see.
Yeah. How much money did you have to put into Lilt Line to produce it? You don't have to give me exact numbers, but was it something you could generate kind of just off your day job? Yeah.
I mean, I was working a full-time job at the time, and it was 5 months of me in the evenings and weekends, so it didn't cost me any money. It cost me like a Mac Pro, which I got from the States for cheap from a friend, and then the $99 Apple license. So my time is worth it, so that didn't cost anything. So it was just 5 months of me messing about as a hobby, so it didn't cost me anything, no.
Right, and so for you, putting it on iTunes wasn't a problem, but for WiiWare,
Yeah.
WiiWare is a little more expensive not greatly expensive from what I'm told, but a little more expensive. And before the stream cut out earlier, I was talking about WiiWare. I wanted to get your opinion about it because to me it's one of the most interesting things that have happened in video games in the past 10 years. Because you have the console with the biggest install base, and from my understanding, the cheapest to develop for downloadable, the downloadable store. And you have a game like World of Goo that comes out and is made by two guys. Beautiful game, but not a huge budget game, and they make $1 million practically overnight off the WiiWare version. Mm-hmm. And then, as other people tried to fill the store with great games like Lilt, those games failed to sell a lot of the time, often to the point where they didn't even meet the threshold that you have to make before you start making money off your game. My understanding is with Nintendo, you have to sell a certain amount of units before the developer makes money. Up until then, Nintendo takes it. So why do you think that happened with WiiWare? Someone who was looking at it from the inside out. What's your feeling on that?
To be honest, I have no idea really. I mean, obviously the store could have been better. I think, Nintendo are getting better and better at doing their downloadable services, aren't they? So, 3DS is better and the Wii U is better still. So it wasn't a great store, was it? I don't think that was a problem. I'm not sure, really. I think maybe it was just the Wii itself. People tended to get it, play a few games, and then just kind of leave it. I'm going to get so much hatred for this, because when I said the joke about a Wii gathering dust, I got so many hate mails. I think it got used a lot initially. Families used it, such as friends of mine who don't normally play games. They all got one. They're like, "Oh, this is amazing," and it is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't really utilize it on a daily basis. I guess if they'd had it and it was their hub under the TV and it did something else, then they would always be connecting to online services and think I might pick up a game. Mm-hmm. That's my only guess as to why, in general, the WiiWare service didn't really take off after a strong start.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's that strong start and then falling off that confuses me. And I couldn't help but feel like people took a strange sense of pride sometimes, and being like, I don't play the Wii at all. Oh, my Wii's gathering dust because it's no fun.
You say gathering dust, you get coming in.
Yeah, I'll see what hate mails I get for that. Yeah, it's something I'll be puzzling over for a while. And if you have any thoughts as we go along in the show, feel free to revisit that.
If I have any thoughts at any stage, I'll put them into the conversation. I haven't had any yet, but this is still early, so I mean.
You've had some great thoughts. I've been having a great time already. We should talk more about your more recent project, though, Derrick the Deathfin, which is currently on PlayStation Network. Is it anywhere else that I've missed? Is it on Steam?
No, it's not. It's not anywhere else yet, but next year you can expect it somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Oof. That sounds intriguing.
Intriguing exclusive without telling you what platform it's coming to, but we're working on it.
For at least one other platform?
Yeah, you're trying to catch me out. At least one. That'd be WiiWare, and then wait, that was a joke.
WiiWare?
That was a joke. Totally. I'm going to get into big trouble. Yeah, no, we're definitely looking at bringing it to other platforms now. Yeah.
I hope so. Not that PSN isn't great. PSN's a wonderful place, but it doesn't hurt to have it on as many things as possible. So,
that's right. Yeah.
So Lilt was made by Different Cloth, which is you.
That's correct. Yeah.
Derrick the Deathfin was made by Different Tuna.
That is confusing, isn't it? That's me and Ron, who's the artist who you may have seen in the making of videos. He's a very talented guy, really nice guy. He's a street artist by trade, so he does lots more interesting things than me. Doesn't just sit up in front of his computer playing games and talking about games. He makes sculptures, does exhibitions, does paintings, all kinds of things.
It's an amazing looking game. Did you get the concept for the game first and then meet Ron, or did you and Ron start talking and hashing it out and then decided to make this big leap?
What happened was I worked with Ron about 8 years ago in an agency in London, and we did some games for Red Bull and stuff, some commercial kind of flash work. And I just remembered his name in my little secret book of talented people. And then 7 years later, when I got the chance to get funding for this game, I got back in touch with him and said, "Do you want to help out with the pitch? Maybe it'll go somewhere." So I just worked with him, and I thought his characters are really goofy and really unique, and that would make a great game. I didn't tell him that in case he went to make a game with somebody else, obviously. So kept it in my secret book, and then a few years later, I rang him up and said, "Do you want to work on this?" And he said, "Yeah," and just went from there, really.
And how long ago was that? How long did the game take to put out?
It took 2 years to make. It was about 2.5 years ago when we pitched the original idea to Channel 4 here in the UK. It took a while for the funding to come through, etc.
So Channel 4, the BBC channel, is who made
Yeah,
that
it's not
game?
BBC.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what?
it's a commercial channel, so it's an advert funded channel. So it's kind of they funded half of it, and a regional agency in the UK funded the other half. So it's kind of a private public mixture of money that we got to make it. But it was really cool that we got it. We were the last people to get money out of that fund before it went bankrupt. I think if you went today to somebody and said, I want to make an underwater papercraft game, they would say, yeah, you realize there's a recession, I'll just get out. But at the time, I'm not sure, maybe in my amazing charisma, we got it through just before the doors closed, and that was great. So
That is great. And otherwise it would have not come together in the same way, if at all, it sounds like. Huh.
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
what was I going to say? Yeah, because it was a console, there was always going to be a console game. There's costs involved there, which, and expertise, which wasn't really just me after work trying to hack something together, which you can do for iPhone, obviously. So we needed to get some.
And has Sony been pretty easy to work with? I've heard, generally speaking, they can be a lot of fun to work with, actually.
Yeah, no, they're really good. I mean, they're good to independent people, aren't they? We never pitched to Microsoft. We were recommended to try Sony out first, and they liked our document, our idea, and then it just went from there. Yeah, they've been very good. So.
Oh, good to hear. And for people who haven't seen or played or don't have much of a concept of the game, people who just randomly started watching this because they saw a man and said, I like that man, I'm all going to watch it.
Like his hat, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's that. Derrick the Deathfin is a game that has graphics that are made out of paper.
That is
Because
correct.
that's how it looks. I've watched the making of videos, so I have a sense of it. But for people who don't know, how did you go about making the graphics for this game?
So yeah, we wanted to make the world's first underwater papercraft game. So what we did was we modeled about 80% of the objects in the game, from rocks to plants to characters themselves, and Derrick, of course, out of paper. So Ron would sketch them. We'd chat about them. In fact, no, we didn't chat about them. He sketched them. He made them out of paper because everything he does, it looks cool anyway, so there's no need to chat. And yeah, and then those paper models, so real papercraft, were photographed in his studio from like 20 different angles. Then we sent them off to 3D modelers 1024 in the north of England, who are like amazingly talented people. And they reproduced that then in 3D, which are then imported into the game. So everything that's in the game either has been built out of paper or can be built out of paper. So 80% of it has been built out of paper at some stage. So that gives it its kind of authentic look. And the modelers as well were very keen to bring the kind of papery imperfections, folds, and all the characteristics of actual papercraft into all the models. So if you look at some of them, which you never have, I do sometimes, in really like close detail, they're amazing. But obviously in the game they're scaled down a little bit, but they did an amazing job, and Ron did an amazing job of making everything out of paper. So that gives it a kind of unique feel.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. More paper than Paper Mario, I would say, which is saying a lot. It's Paper Mario.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, everything's made out of paper, so everything looks like it was when it was actually made out of paper. So that was the idea. And the other idea was to keep it vibrant, so lots and lots of colours, so pinks and reds and purples and blues. So the idea was to make lots of different environments with lots of different palettes in them as well. So that was another one of the artistic ideas behind it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful look. It fits well on a Sony console to me because Little Big Planet set the stage for the PlayStation audience to use the PlayStation's graphics, which are capable of so much, the processing power of the PlayStation 3, to recreate real-life looking objects, but with a surrealistic, beyond reality kind of character to it, as opposed to going the Uncharted route and just realistic pockmarks, which is one of my favorite things to say out loud. You went for realistic, what you could make with your family and children around Easter if you're really skilled and good. You can get together and create your own little world out of paper, and it's like living in that world when you play the game. And yet the game is quite focused on kind of a cheerful but quite violent concept. You're a shark in the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Cheerfully violent. Yeah, that's like me sometimes on a Friday night on my way home. I do bad things, but with a smile on my face, so it's okay. And Derrick's the same. So.
Yeah, he looks a little sleepy, at least in a lot of the production art. But he spends, well, for people who haven't played it, sell them on the gameplay of Derrick the Deathfin. What do you do in it?
Okay. So, you swim around extremely fast, jump out of the water, eat flaming chilies, destroy all kinds of paper fish, fight bosses, destroy mega structures. So it's kind of a pick up and play arcade style game, time pressure based. So you have to always constantly fight against the clock, either in speed levels or against your health. So it's very much a fast paced pick up and play, make you smile kind of arcade experience.
And was it influenced by any other games, Echo the Dolphin, that sort of thing?
Yeah. The main idea actually came from the very first Echo the Dolphin. You know, I think it was the first one in the Mega Drive, well, one of the first ones, when you get the game and you jump out of the water, that feeling when you jump out of the water that first time.
Right.
Then it goes down into the caves for a few days. But that first feeling when you start the game and you jump out, that feeling was just kind of what I tried to capture a little bit with Derrick. That's why he's always jumping out of the water.
And it's got a Lilt line feeling to it as well. I can't remember if that was part of the show that survived or not, but we talked about that earlier. That it's it doesn't ask a lot of the player in terms of having to deal with a lot of new things right away. It's just you're going in one direction, you can change up and down a little bit, and but you're there and you have something to do nonstop, and it's feeding you stuff, kind of literally and figuratively nonstop.
Yeah, that's kind of something I like to do in the games that I make, is to keep it simple, but always with lots of variety. So, for example, you've got special moves, but you have to eat a special move object. You just eat it, you do your zigzaggy thing, you destroy everything, and then it respawns, so you can eat it again. We did try certain things like button combinations where you have to learn, you know, double tap L2, and which was, you know, but that kind of stuff to me always seems a little bit too convoluted. Like I said, I like to make games that I want to play, so I like to play games where there's loads of variety and things to do in action, it's fast-paced, but you don't have to bring up a menu or switch things from your inventory or, you know, combine items. I'm quite a simple mind, as you may have noticed from talking to me.
Not at all. It seems like your mind is quite active, but at the same time, when you play a video game, you don't always want to be... Well, it's like being given a job. To me, when you start a new video game, it's like your first day on a job, and do you want to have a lot of different things you can do, or do you want to have a lot of things you have to learn how to do first? And I would go with the first option any day of the week. And I like to think that those kinds of games are getting bigger. I thought Journey was like that. I thought Fez was like that. And all these games are making a lot of money. What do you think of the direction that video games are going in? Do you feel like this is a great time for you to be able to be a part of where video games are going, or do you feel like there's anything about the way video games are headed that are holding you back, or both?
Nothing's holding me back except for myself. My own inabilities, the only thing holding me back. No, I think it's a really exciting time, isn't it? Because anybody with $100 can get a game on a commercial service without having to worry about anything, or even less than that. You know, you can direct sell from your site if you make a PC or Mac game. So it's a really exciting time, and with all the tools like Unity, which we use to build Derrick. The barriers are lower than ever, and what you can do is just up to you, isn't it?
Sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just reiterating, saying it's really exciting to me, which I said about 5 minutes ago, and now I've said it 3 times.
That's okay. That's reiterating excitement's never a bad thing, but I'm trying to get excited about what people are going to buy in video games again, because I was honestly a little bummed out about it for a while, and we talked about this last week with Mariel Cartwright, who was on the show. She did the animation for Skullgirls. Have you ever heard of Skullgirls?
Yes.
Yeah. Skullgirls was the kind of game I wanted to do really well. Yeah. And it did pretty well, but not as huge as I would have hoped. Because the audience, the fighting game audience, is still really loyal to brands that they're familiar with. Yeah. And in general, I'm hoping that brand familiarity can not be such a powerful thing in the industry anymore. I'm hoping we're moving towards that. Has that been something you've had to consider in making your stuff? Do you feel like you're up against it in that you're making new IPs more often than not?
I don't feel I'm up against it. I think as we said earlier, I don't in my mind have an idea of what will be popular or what people or lots of people will like. Whatever I make normally resonates with a niche audience, and they love it, and that's cool, and that's enough for me. Obviously, if more people liked it, I would actually get some money, and that would be amazing. But all I know is what the games that I like to play and the kind of experience that I like, and I want to make them and put them out there and hope that people like them. I'm kind of out of touch with what like Joe Gamer thinks, if you want to like stereotype. I don't know. Obviously, there are many games that are beautiful, like the Rayman Oranges. I think Raymond Oranges. You know that one? Like Rayman, but you have to collect fruit. Only orange fruit, though. Oranges.
Tastes great. Yeah.
Yeah, that sold really badly, didn't it? And then I think a few months later it picked up. So you know.
That's right, and they're making the sequel now. Popularity be damned. They wanted to make it,
Yeah.
and they believe that it'll do well. It's a Wii U exclusive. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Any thoughts on the Wii U? Speaking of which, that's a console I'd guess your games could find a home on.
Yeah,
but,
I'll make a game for anybody. Wii U seems really interesting to me. I don't know how well it will take off or not. I guess time will tell. Nintendo always take brave moves, don't they? I think it's another one. So yeah, I'd love to make a game for it. So if you're listening, Nintendo, give me a little bit of money, and I'll do it.
I'll make sure Nintendo plays Derrick the Deathfin. That shouldn't be too hard. Do you have a code lying around?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, do you want me to send you one?
Not this second, but later on I'll email it to a guy at Nintendo and tell him, because probably the closest thing visually to Derrick the Deathfin is Kirby's Epic Yarn, even more so than Little Big Planet, which though it's simple, there's a lot of. I have mixed feelings about Little Big Planet. I don't want to talk about them because they make people angry.
Okay. You've done it now, though. You've opened the can. I really like it. What's the matter with you?
I reviewed it and gave it, I think, a 7.5 because the online was great, but the actual campaign, I was like, eh. And people were out with the pitchforks and the flaming torches ready to...
To be honest, it's very interesting to me what you're talking about, like a group opinion. Obviously, with Derrick, before Derrick came out, I didn't know what anybody would think about it. So, I had friends who made games that did well or didn't do well critically, and you're thinking, what's everyone going to think? And is the first review going to inform everybody? So it's really interesting when you have, like opinion tends to congregate around something that's like, as you say, Little Big Planet. Everyone else was 9 and you were 7.5. So you're an outlier. So let's attack him. Let's kill him. But it's just your opinion, isn't it?
And I don't think the game was even out yet. I think, well, maybe it was. But it does happen with games that aren't even out yet. People have kind of formed a relationship with something before it even exists.
Yes.
Which can work for or against you, I've found. I wonder what you would do with some established brands that people already have a relationship with. Do you ever wanted to work on big-name franchise games if you were given the opportunity to?
Yeah, if I got the franchise and could do what I like with it and give it back to them, that would be cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture. What franchises do you like, and if you had the opportunity to make a game on them? Or maybe better, what franchises do you think need your special touch to survive? My special touch?
There's only one person who needed my special touch, and that was my wife, and that was about 20 years ago. Even she doesn't like it anymore. So I don't really know. I tried to shift it up a bit, but she's not interested. Double special touch now.
It happens. You're not alone. There's a whole support groups for that, I think.
Please send me the link to the show. I need to get some books or something.
Are there any game franchises that you would like to take on for whatever reason? Yeah,
Sonic. I mean, obviously I love Sonic, so you would probably see that in Derrick. As when I was growing up, Sonic was definitely my favorite franchise. And, Sonic CD I came to late. I only got it like 2 years ago when it came out on the new platforms that we have at the time. So that was an amazing game for me to play, having not played it originally. So yeah, I'd love to make a Sonic game, like an old school Sonic game. That would be amazing.
That would be perfect. Yeah, and that's plausible with the way Sega has been feeling lately. They're a bit under the weather. They're having a tough time getting things going. I'll see if I can put you in touch with a Sega guy. I think they don't hate us.
I've been speaking to a guy from Sega, actually.
Oh, you already know. Yeah, you don't need my help. What am I saying? You're the...
No, I do need you. I do need you. It just so happens the one vaguely important person that I've been talking to, and that's him from Sega. Otherwise, I need your help, and everybody else's.
Well, that'd be help. We didn't talk too much about Lilt and the IGF. I didn't mean to coast right over that, but Lilt was an IGF finalist or an IGF winner?
It won audio achievement back in when IGF Mobile was still a thing.
What's that, 2007?
2010.
2010. Yeah, my dates are way off. What was that whole experience like, working with the IGF and getting to be a part of it?
That was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware of anything about it, to be honest with you, before I got nominated for the awards. I just sent it in and I thought, forget about that. It's never coming back. That's $50 or whatever it was I've wasted. I think I put it on Twitter. I'll never get that back. But yeah, it was great. I went out there, obviously, and met all these people, and I was just a child at the time, even though it was 2 years ago. I had a full head of hair down to here.
I know that feeling very well.
Yeah.
And have you gotten to know a lot of other people in the industry?
Yeah, so I got to meet like people from Nathan from Cappy, and the Super Brothers guys were doing demoing next to me. They got nominated for Artistic Achievement. So that was when that was a really early stage on the iPhone at the time, just on the iPhone. So yeah, that was really cool. And I got to meet lots of nice people. Met Gauging Games there for the first time, I think. And yeah, it was really great to go out there and meet these people, and they all liked the game. So it was quite an eye opener for me. And I thought, I got to quit my job now and do this full time.
And have you quit your job? Is your day job cushion gone? Oh, that's scary. When did that happen?
2 years ago, when I got the money to make Derrick. So off the back of it, I was waiting to get funding to make a longer game or bigger game, and that was Derrick. So since then, I've been full-time independent developer. Now I'm going to do a bit more contracting because I racked up a few debts finishing off Derrick, but I can still mix and match, so it's all good.
Huh. And how has that changed the way it feels to make a game compared to Lilt line, which was, we'll just see what happens, to, all right, this is what I've committed myself to. This is who I am now. How has that changed how you approach things, whether you mean to change your approach or not? How's it changed?
Philosophical question.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit more serious, isn't it, when it's kind of your livelihood rather than just a little joke. I mean, to be honest, Lilt line was really easy for me to make. It was just by myself in the evenings. Bash something out, make it better, try and make it better, and just stick it out. I didn't imagine that anybody would like it, but I've been making Flash games for myself for a while, so I just thought I'd stick this one out there. Whereas, as you say, like a commercially funded opportunity is different, isn't it? Or publicly funded. So you've got sponsors, deadlines, other people to work with, etc., etc. So it was more challenging, but still, when you're sitting down making the game, and I love doing that. So it was great fun.
So you find that you're still able to get in that mind space where you can focus on just what comes to you creatively without it getting too dumbed down or squashed even by expectations and fears that you're not going to make enough money for the people who are also working on the game and for your sponsors, stuff like that?
I was able to do that just about, I mean, it took twice as long as it should have done, so it was supposed to be 11 months, so it took 2 years, so... I mean, towards the end, it got a bit,
11 months? That's no. That was ever because did the game grow since then? Because I can't imagine just visually. It's such a beautiful game. It's such a detailed game. I would imagine it was just 11 months to make the graphics. That's how it looks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have the graphic style, we didn't have the visual style when we got the money. So I pitched for had the name Derrick the Deathfin from the start. So it was supposed to be a mashup of Sonic and Echo and maybe Burnout, kind of all mashed together and have a beautiful, explosive, artistic style. So I was thinking a pop-up papercraft style, so like Parappa the Rapper, with a flat kind of style. And the real papercraft look came from Robin when he started to work on it and said, look, let's do this real papercraft. And everyone went, shit, why has nobody else done that? That's amazing. And so we just went and did it. So yeah, the look got more complicated, and the production of the assets, because we had to produce a lot of 3D assets, got more complicated without boring you. The whole thing kind of got a bit bigger, but that's games, isn't it? You can never really scope them.
Sure. Unless
you're copying somebody else, I guess.
Then unless you're kind of just stealing their code and plugging yours in.
That's what I'm doing for my next game.
I think friend of the show, Brian Provinciano, he made Retro City Rampage.
Yeah.
I think that was supposed to take like a year and a half, and 6 years later, he managed to put it out. So it definitely happens as your scope grows. Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm being a jerk. We haven't done any questions yet.
Okay.
I'm just talking to you about things. Oh, they've hopped in already, just like that. Unprogrammed with a bunch of zeros, fours, and E's in that.
Sounds dangerous. Go on.
Yeah, I know. He's going to be smart, I think. How did you learn web development, T/coding, next Q related? I think that means something. Yeah, how did you learn to code? Did you go to school for that? Did you learn out of the job? A little bit of both?
No, I learned on the job. I lied in an interview, and then I had to learn when I was in the job. I said I could do HTML and JavaScript back in the day, and I couldn't, and so I learned before they threw me out, basically. I've never been to any courses or anything like that, but I just had to throw myself in the deep end and then swim, I guess, like Derrick.
Yeah. Oh, no. And did you make games? When was the first time you made a game at all, or learned coding at all?
It would, I don't know. It would have been a Flash game called No Circles, which still exists. It was like an abstract puzzle game. It was quite popular. It had like 2 million hits or something like that back in the late 80s. No, it wasn't the 80s. It was I don't know when Flash was popular. 2000 and something.
No
2002 probably.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. You made a game that's been played 2 million times, maybe?
Something like that. Yeah. It's nosircles.com is the URL. It will seem really rubbish now, but it was just like an abstract puzzle game where you have to. Back in the times when people were making experimental like parts to their portfolio. If you remember, you're roughly the same age as me. Maybe you do. Sure. I could tell from that.
Yeah.
At that time, everyone was like, here's an experiment section on my website. Here's something elastic that bounces in Flash. And here's some balls thrown together with some... That was like the thing to do. And I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to explore that kind of area. So I decided to make it into a game. So little puzzles where, the bit of physics there and like kind of conundrums.
Are there circles?
Sorry?
Are there any circles in it?
No, none. I don't like circles. That's why it's called no. It's an anti-spherical game.
Because I stupidly immediately thought, no circles. It's going to be a game with a bunch of circles. Then you put circle, but there are no circles in the game.
That's right. That is circles.com. That's my arch nemesis, making all those rounded, shitty games. This one just has hard edges. No spheres, nothing.
So I'll be checking that out right after the show. Similar to what you just said, Kaiman asks, when you started making games, I just asked this already, but what was your weirdest prototype? Kaiman wants to know.
Weirdest prototype?
Yeah, have you made a lot of prototypes?
I know Kaiman from Twitter. He's a Echo the Dolphin, a big Echo the Dolphin fan. Hello.
Oh, cool. Hello, Kaiman.
Yeah, he posts me on Twitter all the time. Weirdest prototype? I don't
or just
know.
a weird one. That's okay.
I did a game jam for the first time the past 2 days, the indie speedrun thingy.
Oh, yeah?
I've never done a game jam before. So I just did it by myself, which is, I thought it'd be better than spending time with my wife's relatives. So I thought I'd lock myself away for 2 days and make a game. And the themes were worship and train. So I made Jesus flying on a biplane through a train, redeeming sinners. So that's pretty weird. I think that's the weirdest thing I've ever made.
Is that game out?
It'll be up on their site in a few weeks, I think.
That's very exciting. Is it like a shoot 'em up in a way?
No, you just fly in a little biplane and you can barely control it, and you're in a train. You're like, the biplane is the size of a shoe, and you fly through people, and that redeems them of their sins, and then that's it.
How can you lose?
It's a timer. It's timer-based adventure. Yeah, so you can collect little timer things in the sky, not in the sky, in the train. So that's the weirdest game I've ever made, I think. I mean, it's really pretty weird. But then the themes I got were worship and train. What am I going to do?
Yeah, just a free association. The first things we thought: worship Jesus in a train, in a plane,
in a miniature biplane. Everyone knows that Jesus is a fully accredited pilot, so give him a miniature biplane, let him loose.
Back when I was young and optimistic, I started to make a game called Miracle Jesus: The Lost Nightmare, which was about the dream Jesus had between when he was dead and he was resurrected. And a lot of cool things happened in that dream. It was a shoot 'em up. There was a giant purple one-eyed octopus and little skeleton guys and stuff. Maybe we could make a sequel to your game, Miracle Jesus.
Where's it now? Does it exist?
No, there's like some graphics and some music. Did graphics, music, and he can move up and down.
But do you still make games yourself?
Oh,
no. Yeah? I bet you
no,
do.
it's hard.
Don't show them.
It is really hard to just even get the thing to move around. I don't know how you do it. The level of patience you have and the level of just general frustration tolerance with both creating it, testing it, having other people play it. To me, game developers like you have hearts of beautiful iron. Strong as iron. Yeah, but beautiful. Beautiful artistic iron. Champion Nerd, or Champion Red, I think his name is, asks, he was wondering how you feel about the PS3 market and why you chose Derrick the Deathfin. We talked about this a little bit before, and also asked about Steam. I guess you already answered that, but how do you feel about the PSN market in general compared to, let's say, the Xbox Live Arcade market or the 3DS market and the Wii and Wii U shops? Do you see any differences in terms of what those shops are up to do? Oh, and Steam too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really. I only really have experience on console of WiiWare and PSN. I mean, Sony have been really good to allow me to put a game on their service in the first place, and they helped me to promote it. So that's all good. I mean, I don't know there's a big difference in terms of popularity or sales at the moment between PSN or WiiWare or the 3DS store, whatever that's called. I don't know 3DS.
Sure.
I guess it's sales in general are not that massive, are they? It's not like it was 3 years ago. People tell me if I released Derrick 3 years ago, I'd be quite rich now. But now it's more competitive. In general, people have got less money to spend, and there's so many more devices, aren't there? You know, Steam is a big competitor, obviously, or iPhone, iPad. There's so many ways to play now that it's not like it was a few years ago. You release a console game, it's good, and you get hits. So.
Yeah, it used to be that, whoa, $15, that's it? And now it's like, I'll buy a $1 game on my phone and I'll be done. And it's happening all over the place. 3DS shop, there's a game coming out next week called Gunman Clive. It's like the first $2 3DS D-Shop game. It's a beautiful game, fully polygon-based graphics, cel-shaded. It's made by one of the designers of Bionic Commando Rearmed. He's got a pedigree behind him, but he's like, people aren't going to pay more than $2 for this. So yeah, it's interesting the way the market is changing. Better for the consumer, scarier for developers. At least I'm scared for developers. I hope you can make it in that market.
Can always. I mean, I don't have a company. This is my company here. You can see the wall behind me. I've got some fish in the corner. That's all I have. I've got a family to support, but I don't have like 10 people. But I don't have anyone to support. So if games that I don't do that well commercially, I just do contracting, and then after that come back and make it. So for me, it's all right. I mean, obviously, I'd rather be more successful than I am at the moment, but I'm still going to keep making games. I can't stop.
That's so good. That will lead to millions and billions of dollars someday, I think.
That's what I tell my family every year.
And what do you think of... And Steam is, from what I've gathered, pretty controversial with a lot of game developers. You don't seem to be a man with any controversy in your body. You seem completely controversy-free, which is a wonderful thing. But do you have an opinion about Steam and how some
yes, you want me to be controversial? Steam,
you can try.
I don't like Steam at all. Do you know why?
Really?
Yeah. You put your hand near it, it burns like hell. It makes me sick. I don't see why people go on about it the whole time.
You should make a comedy game.
Yeah, I did try. Derrick the Deathfin's a comedy game, isn't it?
It is funny, but it's not. I'm not a joke-telling guy. If I'm ever funny, it's by just accident or me being myself and people thinking, "Oh, I can't believe he's really like that." But you tell jokes, and I'm impressed.
No, you tell jokes as well. When I see your podcast things, you always tell jokes the whole time.
Oh no, I just sit there and have a man talk about my rear end for an hour and a half, and I just.
Is it that big that you can discover it for an hour and a half?
People aren't getting sick of it. Yeah, we've been doing it every week for 2 years. People don't get sick of it. It's a strange world we live in. Nintendan, our old friend. Hi, Dan. Nice to see you. He's a wonderful guy. Do you know Nintendan? He's a great guy.
From Twitter,
Yeah, I could see him finding you on Twitter. He asks, what do you adore most in video games? What is the core thing that developers need to do right in your eyes? Similar questions, but I guess you could take them separately.
I don't know, really. What do I do in video games? I guess it's just there's so many opportunities. There's so many different types of game that you can make. So from Journey through to Derrick, through to Retro City Rampage, there's just so many things coming out now that are just different. So I wouldn't say there's things that people should do. People should do whatever they like. And if they want to change something in games, make a game that's how they want it to be. That's the way I see things. I don't try and spend a lot of time criticizing other people or putting other people's efforts down or grading other people's work. I think it's great they're making work, and then they should make different work, and if they want to change something, try and change it. If that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. But are there things in games that you think drew you to making games as opposed to, like, are there things that games can do that film can't, or board games can't, that made you think, oh yeah, video games, because you can do that with a video game, I want to make one of those?
Yeah, I guess it's the rush and the playing quick things like Sonic that always kind of drew me. Kind of arcade things that really draw you in. Obviously, because it's interactive, nothing draws you in quite as much as a game if you're really into it, in the zone. And if it's kind of a fast-paced, explosive thing, that always kind of resonated with me.
Huh, yeah, that makes sense. Have you played much Hotline Miami?
I have, yeah, I have, yeah.
I wonder what you make of that game. Those are guys who've been on the show with a very similar philosophy as you. They're just like, we just made it. We hope it's good. If you don't like it, that's fine. We understand. Very humble, good-natured dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's cool, isn't it? I mean, I love the aesthetic of the game. Obviously, and the music and everything. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool that they made it and they just thought, maybe it'll be successful, maybe it's not, but it's what they want to make. So that's the cool thing, is you've got games like that coming out alongside games like Unfinished Swan. Also a valid experience, completely different. I wouldn't want to say everyone has to make Hotline Miami or everyone has to make Derrick, or everyone should make what they like, and then I can enjoy it all.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Is there anything you don't like? Any kind of game trend that you're just not interested in? Everything.
You want me to be controversial? I have been controversial a couple of times in my life.
You can try. You can just say there's something that... It's not that you dislike it.
Right, I just don't like it as much as the other things.
Right.
One thing I don't like as much as the other things is people tend to discuss how to market their games a little bit too much. So free to play. If you go to any games conference, I went to like a BAFTA games talk the other night, and there was a lot of discussion of free to play versus paid versus DLC, and people tend to talk a bit too much about business models and not enough about the games, in my experience. So that's like a negative trend.
Yeah, I wonder why that happens. It's not why people get into it for the most part, but it can seep into your brain when you start to care more about the destination than the process of getting there. And by that I mean you start to think, oh, making a game that makes a lot of money is what matters, as opposed to making a game that I enjoy making. I'm glad you haven't been poisoned by that terrible fruit as of yet.
Just wait to see my next game. We can play Cologne of Audio Surf.
I wonder what you'd call it. Saudio?
Casio Surf.
Casio keyboard?
No, I mean as in cash, as in money.
Oh, Casio! I'm sorry, I just thought about my old Casio keyboard.
I have to think of a better name than that. I work on it.
Yeah, you've got plenty of time in order to do that. So, tell me about what the game development scene is like in England, if any. Because in the United States, New York, California, and northern to Canada, North America, in Toronto, there's a huge game development scene.
Yeah.
But in England, is there much of a collective? Is there much of a community there?
There is, but I'm not really that much of a part of it. Not yet. But this year, my New Year's resolution is to... Well, I spent 2 years in my loft up here making a game, which I guess was maybe a bit of a mistake. Maybe we should engage a little bit more with fellow game makers. But now it's finished. Now I'm going to all the parties and stuff. And so there are, London meetups. There's a London Independent Games meetup in a pub, first Monday of every month. I've never been, but I'm going next year. In Cambridge, there's a group of people who meet up. Think like Terry Cavana and Docky, if you know him, from
I think so.
Various people, and the Proteus guys in Cambridge as well. So Cambridge and London, there are definitely groups of people who meet up, independent developers, that is. And I have friends, like, you'd be surprised to hear that I have friends. I have 2 friends. One of them works at Hello Games, and the other one is Simon Oliver, Hand Circus, who made Rolando and then Okaboo on PS3.
Oh, cool.
So, he's a good friend of mine. I worked with him like 10 years ago, before I worked with Ron. Well, no, just after I worked with Ron.
Neato. Yeah, Rolando.
So, yeah, I have friends in games.
Yeah. But tell me, what is your... This is going to be really personal, so feel free to ignore it.
Go on.
And I'll start by being personal first. My instinct when I'm looking at an evening at home, I'm like, well, can I be productive and try to make my ideas happen and go to work? Or should I talk to human beings about things? And I was like, human beings, you're just going to slow me down. So then I end up, putting a sheet over my head and grabbing my microphone and trying to do audio for this new thing I'm doing called Teenage Pokemon. And I'll just do that for 6 hours and then forget about human beings. And it can really burn you out. And my instinct to just be productive is kind of ruining me in some ways. And I'm trying to undo that instinct before it goes too far. Is that something that you find ever happens to you? where you just find yourself caring only about work and then forgetting about the social aspect of life?
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, I'm quite a workaholic, so if I've got something to do, I always, prefer to be doing it. Even when I think I'll try and relax and play some games, I always end up working on something. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I do have that problem, yeah. But I've got a family. I've got 2 kids, 3 and 4, and a wife who keeps me on my toes. So I'm never disconnected in the sense that, say, a traditional indie developer stuck in his bedroom doesn't see anyone for 6 months, kind of could be disconnected because I'm always going to school or nursery or something like that. So I'm never that disconnected from the world. But yeah, my social life definitely has suffered from working so much on games. But when it's a passion, it's difficult to differentiate, I guess, isn't it, from what's fun and what's work, because it's all fun.
Yeah. Have you found that making games kind of scratches the same itch that playing games used to for you mentally?
Mentally? Tough question. Maybe. I mean, I don't play games for as long as I used to, unless it's a really, like an amazing game. I won't play any game for more than an hour or 2. I mean, half an hour is typical. I just get the idea and then tend to move on and think, that's interesting, maybe I could use some of that in some of the games that I'm making. So I guess, it's kind of transitioned more from playing to more making or thinking about how I could make when I'm playing other people's.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I play a game, get the idea of it, thank the people for making it, and then write about it, and then move on to the next game that I have to kind of ingest. Oh, we're getting more questions from the same lovely gentlemen who are sticking with us on this show. Thank you, guys. Champion Red asks, is Derrick inspired by Knights? I sure do like Knights. I would love for you to make a new Knights.
Do you know what? I've never played Knights. I've never ever played it. Yes, never. I saw quite a few reviews comparing it to Knights, but I have never played it on any platform.
Maybe, can you gift? You can't gift on PSN, can you?
No, I don't think so. No.
Rats. Maybe that Sega guy can give you a code, because it would be really interesting to hear what you think of Knights. It's very much about swimming through the sky, as you probably heard. And similar to Derrick, but Derrick has more punch, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I've never played it. I tend to pick it up on XBLA. It's out on XBLA, isn't it?
And PSN, I think. Yeah,
okay, cool.
I think so. Yeah, HD re-release. Cayman again asks, your new rhythm-based game, what inspired you to do that? That is a good question. I should have asked it myself, actually. Thanks, Cayman.
Don't get into a spiral of depression just because Cayman's got better questions. You can learn from him.
I'm trying, yeah.
Well, I guess there's 2 things that I like to... so the rhythm-based stuff, synesthesia, as I think I've been trying to say for a few hours, is one of my interests, and the other stuff is more arcade action kind of gameplay stuff. So I guess I've got 2 sides to my gaming personality. One is more of things that I work with Ron, more like organic things, arcade action things, and the other is the music, rhythm, exploration stuff. So I like to ideally continue to do both. We'll see.
What are some rhythm games you felt really did it right, that used the genre to its utmost?
So Rez is an obvious one. Rez obviously was amazing. Gitaru Man, I'm a big fan of Gitaru Man. Rhythm Tengoku, the original one on the Japanese one on the GBA, that was amazing. What else? There's so many good rhythm games on there. Parappa the Rapper, obviously.
Yeah.
That's all of the rhythm games, isn't it?
I think so. Cool. I am totally in love with all of those games. And not so much with Rock Band and Guitar Hero. How did you feel about those? Yeah,
I'm the same as you there, I think. I mean, I played it. My dad got it, so and it's fun to play. A party situation, isn't it? I mean, they're good games. You can't say they're not good games, but for me, it's too literal. Notes come down, type colored notes on my plastic thing. It's too one-to-one. So I was saying before, it's interesting to me is visualizing music or flying through music or playing music or experiencing something in other senses. I don't know. Experiencing music in other ways. That's the thing that's interesting to me. I don't think it's being explored that much in games at the moment, even in rhythm games, where it's still a bit too literal a lot of the time. But there are people doing it, like the dude on iOS. What's it called? There was a good rhythm game on iOS like last year. I think it was like a minimalist thing with a line that you follow. What was it called?
Oh, Lilt Line?
Yeah, amazing. Everyone pick it up now. No. No, it wasn't Lilt Line. It was another one. It was the guy who made Infinity G. Atari, some.
Oh yeah, there was a I can't remember his name, but it was a Space Invaders type game,
Dude.
Groove Coaster.
Yes, that was quite
Groove
good.
Coaster. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
I'm still puzzling. I puzzle a lot over the world and the people in it and the people who buy video games. Why is it that literal rhythm games tend to resonate so well with so many people, whereas the more abstract games or the more interpretive games that interpret the music visually, people like them, but in this country anyway, they tend to think, well, that's not really worth paying full price for. I'll buy that for $1 or $2, but I won't. The last Rhythm Heaven that came out on the Wii, it was my favorite game of this past year, probably. Such good music, such good ideas for mixing up the visuals, the sound, and the controls. But it totally bombed.
I need to play that.
Yeah, I should send it to you. It's called Beat the Beat in England.
Yeah, I know. It's on my list of things that I should do.
I have a list like that too. But people simply weren't willing to buy that kind of game on a disc. Whereas similar games for $1 to $5 downloadable, they're willing to pay that price. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that. You've said several times that you don't feel like you know why people buy what they buy, and you try not to consider it. But I am interested to get your opinion if I can at least try to get it. So why do you think certain rhythm games like Guitar Hero people pay $50, $60 for, and games like Rhythm Heaven don't tend to sell as well, at least here in the same market?
I guess it's a niche market, isn't it? I mean, the Guitar Hero and stuff, they had an explosion. They made millions and billions and trillions, and then they tried to milk it, and then nobody wanted to buy another plastic thing, and then it kind of died, didn't it? So it did really well, obviously. But I don't really know. I guess it's something people understand, isn't it? I've got a guitar in my hand. Here it is. I'm a rock star on stage. I understand that. It's concepts that are familiar to me. And I want to do that. I want to be a rock star stage, and that's cool as well. Nothing wrong with that. But if you say, you are a line or a sperm-looking thing, and you're, flying through something that's going to make you believe you're in the music, they're like, yeah, artistic. I'm going to get the guitar. I guess it's just, I don't know, it's just some things are niche and some things aren't. It's like independent film and mainstream film. I'm sure you can make an argument that there's so many amazing independent films that are not commercially successful. That's why they have funding, etc. But
yeah, it's something I constantly, and it's not as simple as, oh, why don't people like what I like? Because I'm sure it could sound that way, the way I'm expressing it. But it is really interesting to me to take two high-quality products, and the Rhythm Heaven had a pretty good marketing team behind it. They had a big launch party that I actually went to, and they had commercials. Beyonce for the DS one just kind of, whereas in Japan, through the roof. The sales was like 2 million sales within the first year or so. Champion Red has another question. I'm sorry to ignore you, Champion Red. Does Gordon have any lesser-known indie developers he admires who he would like to talk about? You talked about your friend who made Rolando.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. He helps me out a lot through the Sony submission process. So yeah, I give him a shout out.
Is Rolando on PS3?
No, Rolando is iOS, and Rolando 2, they were on iPhone. And Okabu was the game he made for PS3. That came out last year. So he'd been through the whole PS3 submission thing, which was really helpful for me because I don't have a clue about the whole. What is it?
Yeah, can you talk about Akabu? Because I want to know about it.
Yeah, it's a cool game. It's like a cel-shaded game where you play as a cloud whale, and you have to save. You travel through this like crazy world with crazy characters in it, and you have to save villagers from Dozer who are attacking them with pollution and stuff. And it's kind of a cooperative puzzle kind of game. Check it out.
I've never heard of it. I thought I knew about everything. I don't know about Akabu.
There you go. Check it out. It's a good game. So he's been really good. He's been really supportive, helping me to get through the whole, because the last of it was me here in my amazing loft, just trying to get a console game out, which is quite a lot of work for one guy. So he was really helpful, saying, "No, you need to do this, do that," because it's quite complicated.
Yeah, that's good to have someone to back.
Lesser indie developers, not really. I mean, I love all the stuff that Vlambeer do. They're not really lesser known, are they? I'm big fans of them.
Kind of are. That's the thing about this world we're in. We think these people are just known. And Vlambeer has built up a kind of knowledge and the consciousness of the video game world a little bit. Giving away a free video game always helps to do that, and Super Crate Box was free for a while there. But they're still not that well known, which makes me sad. Yeah. Do you know those guys personally?
Yeah, I've met them. Yeah, so I met them at GDC in the States and GDC in Europe. So yeah, I know them. We had a beer together. They're nice guys.
Oh, yeah, they're very...
The best people in the world at making video games. You know who that is?
Who's that?
That's Gauging Games. They're the best.
I'm going to look like I'm favoritist if I agree, because I have...
Because you've got a t-shirt and a sticker.
Yeah, but I am big fans of those guys.
Me too.
Yeah, we met first time 2000... It was right when BitTrip Core came out, or was coming out. And we didn't know we were going to like each other. And I liked their games before I liked them. But I can't help but like them as people as well. They're neat dudes. Adonis, I think that's like spelling Adonis, except with like downs in it, asks if you ever think about joining a really big company like EA or something.
Yes, I used to work for EA. I worked for EA for 4 months. That was all I could stomach.
Really? What did you do at EA?
I was working on the front end menus for Burnout Revenge, which was a PS2 and Xbox game. It was a few years ago now, 5 years ago or so. Maybe more, 6.
More, I think, yeah.
Yeah, more, yeah. When you get old like me and have to wear hats to disguise your baldness, you forget what year it is. So that's what happens.
I couldn't believe the Thong Song is over 10 years old. To me, that just like came out last year.
That's Caius, right?
The Thong Song? I believe that was Cisco.
Really? Okay. I know a different Thong Song to you. The one I know is really good.
Can you sing it?
No, I can't sing. I can only do interpretive dance. I could interpretive dance it if you like.
I would love that. I can't imagine what you would do, but...
Unfortunately, I'm glued to my seat. I can't do it now. I'll do it. But yeah, I worked at EA for like 4 months. It was right at the end of... It was the week of E3, and I left like a week after we shipped the game. So it was quite intense.
Yeah, sounds like it. What was the... how did that feel? What was that like?
It was okay. I mean, it was a really good experience to learn what everyone does and stuff, but it wasn't really for me. That was clear. It wasn't for me to just... Because I didn't realize how many people. I think it was 50 people working on the game, and it was a great game. The Burnout games, which are now Need for Speed games, I love the games. They're amazing games. Sure. But yeah, that kind of environment where you're a team of 50 people and you have to work extremely hard, it's not really for me. Working hard is not for me, unless I'm doing it for myself. It's just kind of a thing. I just want to work for myself. If I work for somebody else, I think it's a waste of time.
Well, I hear you. You're on this life. I mean, you're on this planet for such a brief time. Your life is so short, and you want to look back on it and say, "I was an awesome cog in a great set of wheels that made somebody else's clock." You know, you want to make your own little clock.
You want to make your mark, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make my own little clock.
It's not for everybody, of course. I mean, some people love it, and they have, stability and guaranteed income and working on cool games with talented people, and that's cool as well. But for me, it was more of a,
Yeah, a creative endeavor.
Exactly.
Making the video games. When did you get started in the industry in total?
In the industry in total?
Yeah, or when did, what was the total time ago? I'm talking really bad today. When did you get started in the industry? When was that?
In the games industry?
Uh-huh.
Right. It was at EA, which was about 8 years ago, wasn't it?
Huh, so that was your first job in the industry, was at EA?
Yes, it was. Before that, I was making some Flash games for like brands. Like I made Flash games for PlayStation promotional sites back when Flash sites were the thing that you did to promote.
I wonder what games you made. Any games I might have played?
No, I made a game for The Getaway, which was the Black Monday thingy. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, you do. It was like one of the first video website thingies where it's like an adventure thing. You clicked on something and you got a video of some Cockney guy saying he was going to beat you up, and then did you play that?
No, I actually don't.
Nah, you were just leading me on.
No, I thought I knew what we were talking about. So you made a choose your own adventure Flash game with a Cockney guy?
Yeah, I didn't make it by myself. I made it with a company. Yeah, so professionally, I worked. I say professionally, semi-professionally. I made Flash games for other people and stuff like that, and then from there went into EA in the proper games industry, and then I got out fairly quickly and started making games in my spare time. So that's how I got into it, really.
Huh. Yeah, good to know. And that was 8 years ago, and you're 35. So in your 20s, you had to have some other job. I think.
Did I?
I don't know. Maybe you got by. Some people just are like, eh.
No, I was making websites for years and years and years.
Ah.
I started off doing HTML, JavaScript, Flash, to games. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's a hard job. I feel very badly for my website making friends.
Oh,
so many
right.
things. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It seems so hard. There's so many things that can go wrong.
They just make it seem hard.
Yeah.
It's part of the guys. That's why they're always downstairs in a room. So that when normal people hear the word database, they get crazy. But it's so simple. It's just like a little thing.
They're just making it look hard, so we keep paying.
It's like a hoodoo. to phase people, to make sure they get to it.
Yeah, a
it's
hoodoo.
very complicated. Don't come close. It could break at any minute.
Nintendo is back with another question. He asks, are you interested in working in the iOS market again? You are more experienced and have learned more. Do you think it would be worth another go?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely make an iOS game again fairly soon. Would love to.
Yeah?
There you go. Yeah.
Is it a sure thing or a maybe thing?
Oh no, I'd definitely make another iOS game. Yeah, definitely. I guess for people like me, it's a good place to be. Looking, console is has quite a lot of money, and if you want to get on a paid service, iOS is perfect, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's so, like you were saying before, so competitive, and I feel like iOS is now starting in that direction that PSN and Xbox Live Arcade did a little while ago. The market is so big now; it's very hard to focus on any one thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem you have with everything, though, isn't it? PC, Mac, self-selling is also another option, which you could do with the next game. So
yeah.
I would think I would try and exploit all those markets. See that business talk. I will exploit every market that comes my way and says I want to be exploited.
Sinistar said something interesting. I wonder what he means by this. Sinistar is always watching us on this show.
Is he? I'll take off my hat and respect for him now.
Yeah, he's got a hairline kind of like us. He's got a little
nice guy. I like him already.
He says cryptically in the chat, make something look easy and you'll get praised. Make something look hard and you'll get job security. Oh, I get it. I think he was talking about the whole website thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's like millions of people saying they're busy when they're not busy at work, right? Especially now when it's hard times. If you ask anybody how they are, any of your friends who work in professional agencies, well, they always say they're busy. Everyone's not busy. They're just twiddling their thumbs, pretending to be busy. They're going to get fired. So I see what he's saying.
Yeah, it's true. He's a smart guy, that Sinistar.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
We'll be closing up the show. Well, you like his what?
Hair.
Yeah, me too. We'll be closing up the show fairly soon, and I feel like I've really rambled in a lot of bizarre directions with you. I didn't intend to, just happened.
That was fun. It was really good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, really good. I didn't realize the time had gone so quickly.
Yeah, it does move by fast, but I didn't want to pass over anything that you wanted to be sure we talked about. We talked about Lilt and Derrick. We talked about no more circles? No, that's No More Heroes. No circles allowed.
Yeah.
What's the game called again?
It's nocircles.com is the website, but don't go there. It's embarrassingly old and not very good.
I'm very interested in that.
When you're making games, you get better and better all the time, don't you? So Derrick's better than Lilt. My next game will be better than Derrick. So it's all like and eventually make the ultimate game.
Well, how would you know you'd made it? And sometimes you get worse. Like Quentin Tarantino just announced he's gonna retire after doing like 10 films or something. It's like after the 10th film, I mean, come on. Look at Spielberg's Always. He should be ashamed of himself. He should have fired himself by then. So I think eventually people do get worse. But did we miss anything in your gameography people can check out? Because I want them to be able to see everything you've done.
No, just a Lilt line, WiiWare. If you still got a Wii, dust it off. That was a joke. I love Wii. And iOS. And Derrick, if you've got PS3, check out Derrick the Deathfin on iOS. On PSN.
PSN.
Yes.
Similar. Can you play that on the Vita? The PS Vita?
No, you can't. No, I get a lot of requests for it to bring it to Vita, and the people tell me it would have been a better fit for Vita than PS3 and stuff. I mean, something I'm looking at, but we'll see. He's coming to new platforms.
It's coming what?
Derrick's coming to new platforms next year, but I'm not telling you which one.
I'm so curious about that.
That's what I'm doing. I'm teasing you to arouse your interest. And then Blammo, you have your money ready when it comes out. You'll be like, yes, it's the time. It's working, isn't it?
It is working. No matter what it's coming out for. You could say, Derrick the Deathfin, now, Super Nintendo. I'll be like, blammo! I've got $80 to go buy a cartridge at my local shop in order to get the game.
I'm ramping up the price 10 times as well to capitalize on the excitement of people like you now. I've started this buzz train.
Buzz train. Is that a technical term?
Yeah, it's like a hype train, but it's got more buzz to it.
You should make a comedy game where you voice every character. Do you like any point-and-click games? Comedy point-and-click games? Ron Gilbert and Tim Schafer?
Yeah, like Day of the Tentacle. Obviously, I grew up playing those games, Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, and stuff like that.
I think you have sold me on Gordon Midwood so hard on this episode of the show. Yeah. I think much like your games, people may not jump right in knowing what they're going to get.
This is the part of the show where you have to be nice to me to wrap up, isn't it? I can tell.
No. I'm very rotten at the end of these parts of the show sometimes. I just go, okay, goodbye. Sometimes I'm like that.
Really?
Not this time. People need to get in on this Gordon Midwood thing. And on the surface, they don't know. They're just like, oh, he's a guy who makes video games. No. He's much more than that.
More than that.
Yeah. He's a laugh riot, and he should make his own comedy game called Gordon Midwood, the Comedy Game. And I would buy it.
Thank you. But then you would realize how tedious my life is, and you give up after a while. Gordon buys milk. Gordon takes child to school. Gordon sits down. It's,
People love that kind of stuff. The Stanley Parable. It's blowing people's minds left and right. You just like go to work. That guy's going to be on the show pretty soon, actually. That's exciting. Cool. Have you heard of the Stanley Parable?
No.
It's weird. It's a weird game. The next month of the show is going to be weird guys. Like the Frog Fractions guy is going to be on to Stanley Parable. Have you heard of Frog Fractions?
No.
I'm going to send you that too. I'm so glad we're friends now.
A good line say yes. It'll be just as easy, but I'm just being honest with you since you've been so nice to me.
No, I appreciate the honesty. Now I know to fill your life with crap that you don't care about. Because that's what friends do, right?
Yeah, cool. Do it. Definitely do it. So I'm like the segue to the weird guys, am I, basically?
Yeah.
First weirdo on this week, and then it's going to get weirder from here on in.
It kind of is, actually. Yeah. They're really... The guy who made Frog Fractions, he also made a game called Futile Tris, where when you clear a line in Tetris, instead of the line disappearing, the screen gets wider. It just keeps getting wider and wider, and it never stops. Eventually, you think, this is terrible, and you stop playing. That was his whole idea. He's an interesting guy. He'll be on the show soon. Cool. But I guess we should wrap up. Gordon, where can people follow you on Twitter?
Yes, Different Cloth on Twitter, that's me. And also the website, differentcloth.com. In fact, put Different Cloth into Google and you will find me. It's definitely recommended to follow me on Twitter. Because,
and Derrick has his own Twitter. I didn't realize that before either.
He does, yeah. Derrick Deathfin on Twitter, or derrickthedeathfin.com if you want to find out more about the game. Check out the videos, making of videos with me in a wetsuit. You want to see me in a wetsuit? I'm thinking there are a lot of female viewers now thinking, I like that, Gordon. What's he like in a wetsuit? You go to derrickthedeathfin.com, you will find out.
And me, I'm at TronNots on Twitter. You can follow me if you want. And what else? You can get the show on iTunes in podcast form if you don't like watching people. You just want to listen to them while you do other things. Go on iTunes. There's like almost 45 episodes of the show now with so many people. And also Dtoid TV on YouTube. That's our channel if you want to catch reruns of the show. They're just about all on there, I believe. And my new cartoon show, Teenage Pokemon, is on Machinima. It's not that new anymore. It's like 2 weeks old. Give it a watch. Tell me what you think. And I think that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, first Holmes was born, then he got fat, bald, and tired. Sup, Holmes?